Today in the Smugglers Room, we're kicking off our vintage action figure display case, as well as Great Greeblies and Where to Find Them. Starting with PVC and electrical boxes. That's coming up. What's up, you awesome geeks? I'm Brian and welcome to the Smugglers Room, the show where each week this chubby geek tries to build something ridiculous and hopefully inspire you to take on your own wild and crazy project. So, if it's your first time with us and your hyperdrive motivator happens to be damaged, I'm afraid you're gonna have to repair it. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell, and you'll be cruising through hyperspace with us every single week. In the Smugglers Room Project, we have a section of wall that we're going to display a small collection of vintage Star Wars action figures I've had since I was a kid. Yes, thank you, Lefty. That was a long time ago. Anyway, let's have a quick look at this area of the room. The short wall is perfect, and we don't have to build too far out into the room since the figures are so small, but we have the opportunity to make this a unique viewing area. It may not look like there's a lot going on in the renderings, but we are going to approach each aspect of the display with a variety of tools and techniques to complete it. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead, so today we're going to ease into this project and just assemble the uppermost section of details. We'll just refer to this section as the power couplings going forward today. We're going to start this project out with this chalkboard material. It's made from MDF. It's cut in 2-foot by 4-foot sections. The best part of these is not only are they fairly inexpensive at about $8 a piece, but they also are completely treated, so you can paint right on them. Next, I purchased some flex tube that we're going to use later in the project, as well as some PVC couplers and reducers to add some unique shapes. I'm also going to add some PVC lengths that I'll show you here in a minute. The Great Greeblies aspect of this episode are the electrical boxes. I picked up 2 of them for less than $2 from Home Depot, and when you flip them around and look at them from the backside, they have a great sci-fi look to them. If you add some simple things to them and paint them, they have a great look. I have a couple of them on the wall behind me. We start out by assembling the PVC parts with some elbows to get the shape to look right, so that it has some kind of functionality appearance to it. I like each section to have a variety of length so they don't look identical. Next, we have the annoying task of removing all the labels and writing with a rotary tool and a sanding bit attached, followed by 400 grit sandpaper till it's smooth. Once the PVC is all prepped, then we have to identify where to drill a hole in our electrical box. We do this with a Sharpie, and then we attach a step bit to our drill and drill out the hole, followed by a little sandpaper to clean out the opening, and then we can test fit the PVC with the electrical box. Now, to dress up the backside, I grabbed a pair of my favorite Simply Juice lids, along with a pair of elbows that I could match up with each unit. I'm starting to think I have a serious Simply Juice addiction, but I don't think it's the juice I'm addicted to. To glue all these things together, I use 5-minute epoxy. This particular type of quick cure applies to multiple materials, and it gives me a really solid bond. The next part of the project is to do a little kit bashing, and it's a lot of fun. If you're not familiar with what kit bashing is, it's basically a technique that was started by ILM when they were making the first Star Wars movies. They would take a series of model kits and take all the individual pieces off and apply those to the spaceship models they were building for the films. It gave a layer of depth and complexity to the outside of the ships. Now, I'm not going crazy, I'm just using a few pieces here and there on top of the electrical boxes to help disguise them after it's been painted. Now, we need a layer of depth below our power coupling, and I'm going to go ahead and use some laser cut pieces of MDF for this. Now, I know that a lot of you don't have a laser cutter. I certainly don't. But I want you to be aware that you can create this kind of depth with all other types of techniques. You could use styrene and laser blades to cut patterns and layer them on top of each other. You could cut other pieces of MDF and layer them on top of each other. You can even find strange items from the hardware store. The point is, don't be discouraged if I use something that you don't have access to. You can still find all other types of material out there to achieve this geeked out look. Now, I store all kinds of random stuff in bins. That way, when I work on a project like this, I can take the little bits and pieces and add them in to create more depth, or even introduce another color to add another level of interest to the project. Finally, we get to start the weathering process. And I'm using water mixable oil paints for this. I picked this tip up from Bill Duran at Punish Props. Now, I've weathered with all types of different paints and materials, but he nailed it with this. They're probably the best paints for weathering I've ever used. I think I like them so much because they don't dry up right away, so they give you a little bit more working time, and they leave this great, disgusting, greasy residue behind that just really adds that level of realism to the prop or project. So this part of the project is going to be up high against the ceiling, but I assure you that once we light it correctly, all these little details we're doing and the weathering are going to really help sell the story. It's my hope that all this attention to detail on all the different components in the room will help transport you to another place when you see it. That, and I'm just a huge geek that likes spending his time gluing PVC electrical boxes all down to a chalkboard made out of MDF and then covering it with dirt and grime. Does that make me weird? Now go out there and spend 20 bucks on some electrical boxes and other random stuff and build your own power coupling. And if someone asks you, in the words of my friend Chris, what are the greeblification are you doing? Just tell them you're building something out of nothing. No, righty, I don't need to see a doctor about my obsession with juice flids and toilet flanges. Yes, I know, there are a lot on the wall. I'm aware that you have a cousin, Dr. Ball. No, I won't be seeing it.